My name is Mike. Our family originally had 4 members: my wife, Anella, my elder son, Robert, and my younger daughter, Lisa. We are essentially an Asian family. Due to some reasons, we were looking to change the house we currently live in and find a new one. For this, we took the help of a broker. The broker showed us a video of a house. We liked one like this, and after completing all the agreements and payments with the house owner, we moved in. But the price at which the house was sold was very low compared to the house itself. The reason was that the house had all kinds of furniture, from children's toys to everything. For this, I had asked the broker and the owner why the house price was so low, but he said the owner urgently needed money, so he was selling the house at this price. When I heard such words from the broker, I felt a bit relieved. Indeed, sometimes a seller has such a great need that they agree to sell even a very expensive item cheaply. After that, we completed all the agreements with the owner and moved into the house. Little did I know that this house would be the cause of our ruin. As soon as my daughter arrived, she saw all her favorite dolls were kept there. She immediately liked that room and started playing with those toys. My son liked his room, where a PlayStation was already kept, along with a jogging machine, boxing gloves, badminton rackets. Basically, every item for sports was already stored there. It seemed as if those people had fled from here in a second's notice. When we moved into the house, one of our neighbors came. He rang the doorbell. I had kept a guard who informed me, "Sir, someone outside is calling for you." When I went outside, I saw a gentleman standing, who at first glance seemed quite refined and polite. He suddenly took my hand and led me outside. I was very surprised. Actually, he lived in the house next to ours. He asked me, "Who are you?" Previously, Mr. Marco lived in this house. Are you any relative of his? No? Well, I actually came to offer condolences. Surprised, I looked at the gentleman and asked, "Condolences for what?"
He said, "Actually, Mr. Marco had 2 young sons who died in this very house. The exact cause of their death is not known. I had gone to another city, and when I came here I found out, so I came to offer condolences. I didn't know Mr. Marco had sold the house." When he said that 2 young sons had died, I became a bit worried. I wanted to ask him in detail, "Could you please elaborate a bit? Actually, how many sons did they have, and what exactly happened?" They had 2 sons. One was 14 years old, the other 16. What happened to their sons? I don't know the exact details myself, but from the neighbors around I've heard that one hung himself with a rope from the fan and the other stabbed himself in the throat. His words struck me like lightning. That means the house I was living in had witnessed 2 tragic suicides, and the reason was still unknown. I asked the gentleman, in their house there is also a small girl's room with many dolls. Yes, did they have a small daughter too, who was 6 or 7 years old? Last year she also died. I was shocked and started thinking, the daughter had also died.
When I asked for the reason, he said, "I don't know the reason. Mr. Marco just said she was ill. We always saw her laughing and playing." I asked my neighbor, "When did Mr. Marco buy this house?" He started saying he built it himself 2 years ago. Actually, I couldn't understand how much of what this neighbor was saying was true and how much was false. For this reason, I decided to meet more neighbors around and confirm this matter from them. Then night fell, and it was time for the Isha prayer. When I went to the mosque, I met several neighbors. We exchanged greetings and started talking about this and that. Then I brought up the topic told by this first neighbor. All the neighbors confirmed this. That means every word told by the first neighbor to me was true. Some of them also said that their innocent daughter had also taken her own life. Now, think for yourself, such a house where 3 incidents had occurred, and all involving children. That is, how could a 6 or 7-year-old child commit suicide, and a 14-year-old and a 16-year-old? Believe me, I started worrying for my children. An intense feeling of fear began to well up inside me. One night's incident. My son and daughter both came running, trembling with fear. They were banging hard on our door. We quickly got up. When we opened the door, my daughter hugged her mother, and my son grabbed my hand and started pulling, saying, "Dad, I saw a woman. She was walking around in our house." I immediately called the guard. He hurriedly came inside with his gun. After searching the entire house, no one was found. I sent the guard outside. I made my children sit in front of me and said, "Tell me clearly what exactly happened." My children started saying, "Dad, I was very thirsty. I came outside. My brother was already standing near the fridge. Maybe he also wanted to take something from the fridge. We both were standing near the fridge. We saw a woman standing near the kitchen watching us. When we screamed and ran from there towards your room, she went into the kitchen. I don't know where she suddenly disappeared from inside the kitchen." That means both my son and daughter had seen that woman. I asked my daughter separately. She said the same thing. That means they were not mistaken. They had indeed seen some terrifying woman. That night, I slept near the children, but all these strange incidents filled me with intense anxiety. Firstly, these suicide incidents, and I started worrying for my children inside the house, because all the deaths that had occurred in this house before were only with children. I didn't tell my wife about this matter so that she wouldn't worry herself. I wanted to find a solution to this terrible problem myself. Then, a few days later, my son and daughter came running to me. They said they were playing outside and saw that terrifying woman standing there quietly. When I asked them where was the guard, they said he had gone to the washroom. Then I called the guard. "Tell me, did you see anyone?" "No, sir, I didn't see." That same day, I quickly installed cameras all over the house. Another incident, one night, I went to my daughter's room to talk to her, but didn't find her there. I searched again after 10 minutes. She still wasn't there. I called my wife. "Go check in the washroom. Is my daughter there? Where has she been for so long?" As soon as my wife opened the washroom door, our daughter was lying unconscious on the tiles. We quickly picked her up and took her to the hospital. At the hospital, the doctor checked and informed us her stomach is filled with a lot of water. It seems she was forcibly drowned. Then, after the doctor's relentless efforts, Allah the Almighty showed mercy on my daughter and she regained consciousness. We all wanted to know what exactly had happened to her. Her washroom had a bathtub, but if she had drowned in the water, then who took her out and laid her on the tiles? We were all eagerly waiting for her to be in a condition to tell us everything. I couldn't understand what had happened to her that day. Then my daughter fully regained consciousness, and the doctors gave permission. Now we could talk to her, ask questions. I asked, "Tell me, what actually happened to you? How did you end up unconscious on the tiles?" "Dad, I had gone to take a bath. I was sitting in the bathtub bathing. Suddenly I saw that same woman in the washroom. Then I felt like someone forcefully held my head and dunked me into the water. I was thrashing my arms and legs, but she wasn't letting me come out. Then I fainted, and I don't remember anything after that." Hearing this, the ground beneath my feet seemed to slip away. That means the same things were repeating that had happened with Mr. Marco's children. If something had happened to my daughter, everyone would have thought it was an unfortunate suicide. I became extremely frightened. After this severe fear, I finally told my wife all the incidents that had occurred. She got very angry with me. "Why didn't you tell me all this before? This is about our children's lives, and you didn't take it seriously? You just keep a strict watch on the children. I am quickly making some arrangements so we can move out of this house." I'd brought the children's beds to my own room, keeping them in front of my eyes all the time. Even when going out, my wife did this. She kept an eye on the children when going to the washroom, coming back, everywhere. I was in great trouble. I had invested all my savings in this house. The remaining wasn't enough to buy another house apart from renting. I called the broker that same day and said, "Arrange a house for me, any house. I want to move on rent immediately." Later, the broker called, "Sir, there is a house. Come visit it and finalize the deal." I informed my wife about this and went out to see the house. When I reached the broker, he took me to see the house. I immediately called that house owner, wrote the rental agreement right there, gave him the money, and said we would shift the next day before coming back. Just when our deal was being finalized, my wife's calls started coming. I thought she was probably asking where I was, why I was delayed. I didn't answer the call, thinking I would bid farewell to this house owner first, then give my wife the good news. But did I know then that a terrible news was waiting for me? When I finished talking with that house owner and came out, I called my wife. She was crying. She was at the hospital. When I asked for details, I said, "Is everything all right? What happened?" She started saying our son's name. He jumped from the roof. You can't imagine what went through my mind then. Like a madman, almost blindly, I drove and somehow reached the hospital. There, I found out that my child's both legs were destroyed. The doctors were then trying their utmost to save his life. He was in the ICU for almost 3 days. By Allah's mercy, he survived, but lost both legs forever. My son was just crying, weeping profusely. I asked, "Son, tell me a bit. What happened?" "Dad, I saw that terrifying woman. She kept whispering in my ear, 'Jump, jump.' I was playing football on the roof at that time. I kept hearing that woman's words. I don't know why, but I obeyed her." I was fortunate that both my children somehow survived. I was very angry at this Marco person because this cursed person who gave me this house, where his own children had died, hadn't given me that terrible news. First of all, I shifted the family to the new house again. Now I wanted to sell this house, but not in this condition. I didn't want any new family to suffer this harm again. Then I talked with one of my friends. He knew well about such spiritual healers. He assured me and took me to a spiritual healer. I told him the whole incident. That healer told me, "Sweep that entire house thoroughly, and whatever dust comes from that sweeping, put it in a polythene bag and bring it carefully to me." I had the guards sweep the entire house carefully, took that soil, and went to that healer. When that healer performed some rituals on the soil, believe me, right in front of me, blood started coming out from that polythene bag filled with soil. At first, I thought this healer might be showing some magic trick. Then that healer asked me for 2 or 3 days' time. After 3 days when I went, the entire history or investigation of that house had been done. He started saying, the previous house owner's brother's wife had black magic done on his family. Since they had no children and Marco's house had 3 lovely children, his sister-in-law acted out of jealousy regarding that matter. Then that healer went to the house with my friend. He directly went and retrieved several talismans from the children's rooms, and I was amazed watching everything. These were hidden in such places that no one would have noticed. Then he sprinkled water in that house, started reciting prayers continuously. He did this work regularly every day, and this continued for almost 20 days. Now he said, "This house is completely cleansed. You can live here yourself if you want, or you can sell it if you want." When I was completely convinced that this house was cleansed and there was no evil influence left in it, then I sold it. When I asked that healer about this matter, "Tell me, the magic was done on Marco's family, then why did its effect fall on my children?" He said, "If magic is done on a house, and if another family coincidentally comes to live there, then the effect of that vile magic will also fall on them. If the influence was done through those items, and they were stored in your children's rooms as well, then that terrible effect falling is natural. Thank God they survived, because the magic done was so terrible and deadly. A female jinn was constantly engaged in this work. Getting out of it was not so easy. That is, the woman that my children saw was actually a female jinn who was employed here through magic.
Later, I sold that house because we didn't have the courage to live there. Fear had already entered my mind. However, thank God I kept in regular contact with the people I sold the house to. They never experienced any such incident. Alhamdulillah. Now only Allah knows best what kind of relationship that Marco had with his own brother, what enmity was between them, and why his sister-in-law did this black magic. That was the story. Please share if you liked it.